If you love your books and you prefer to read them on an e-ink display, well, you've probably settled into Amazon's Kindle devices. But the Chinese company Onyx International is doing some interesting things with e-ink and different form factors like this. The Onyx Boox Palma, an e-reader that's the size and shape of your traditional smartphone. And I'm going to unbox the Palma just to see what makes it so different. This is interesting. I love devices that are built on top of Android and kind of seeing where they pop up. This is pretty unique. It's a $280 e-reader. And as you can see, the box is kind of small. That's because it's really a device that's made in the form of a smartphone, even though it's not really a smartphone. But we're gonna kind of get into that, and I'm super curious to unbox this. So let's get right into it. SIM eject tools are good for ejecting the SIM card tray, also good for opening boxes like this. You can kind of see a little bit of a shimmer on the box. That's a nice little touch. If you have just the right light, you can see the Boox logo there. With the Boox Palma, it looks so much like a phone that it's easy to refer to it as a phone, but it absolutely is not. We're gonna set that aside for a second and see what else we have in this box. Okay, USB-C cord. If you need another one of these and don't have a million of these hanging around in a drawer like I do, then you're gonna get one here. Yeah, tiny little manual. Looks like maybe that is about it. Now what you see here out of the box on the front, this is a 6.13 inch HD Carta 1200 display. E-ink, of course, 824 by 1648 resolution, 300 pixels per inch. It's a high contrast display. Now with e-ink, of course, you're gonna have a slower refresh rate than a standard display. So you have to keep that in mind, but you're not getting this to be a true phone. You're getting this because you wanna read some books on it. It's not really meant to be a standard mobile device, even though, as you can see by the design, it really looks like a standard mobile device. You've got a Qualcomm octa-core processor. Say there's 6 gigs of LPDDR4X RAM. 6 gigs, not bad on an e-reader. 128 gigs of storage. You also have this little slot right here, which is not where you're gonna find a SIM card. This is actually going to be where you can put in micro SD card if you want to expand the storage on the device. So if you are a total book lover and you want to store a lot of books on the device, that would be the place that you're going to want to go. You're going to want to throw micro SD card into that slot. Now this can connect via Wi-Fi, 2.4 gigahertz, as well as 5 gigahertz. And like I said, there's no SIM in here. Even though it looks like a phone, there is no SIM. Also has Bluetooth 5.0 connectability. The display itself has an adjustable backlight to it. So depending on whether you're doing daytime reading or nighttime reading, you can change the color temperature. There is on the back, which actually makes it seem more like a mobile device, right? This 16 megapixel rear camera with a little LED flash underneath it. Doesn't look like a very large sensor. I can't imagine this camera is going to be very spectacular, but I'll certainly play around with it and see. Inside, a 3950 milliamp hour lithium ion battery. They say several weeks depending on your usage. It's running Android 11, has access to the Google Play Store, which I have not set up yet. That's why you're looking at this main screen. And that gives you, a lot of capabilities to do other things than just your standard e-reader stuff. Hey, real quick, if you're enjoying this unboxing, consider subscribing to the channel. There is definitely more like this on the horizon. Think of it more of what it is versus what it isn't, because it can be a little confusing because of the size that it is. It is an e-reader the size of a phone. It is an e-reader that has most of the benefits, I'd say, of Google's Android. So, having the Play Store, allowing you to install apps. What does that, mean by extension? It's an e-reader that can also do things like listen to audiobooks, podcasts, music, email, messaging. It can do probably the majority, or at least many of the things that a standard Android device can do. Can it do them well because of the e-ink display? That's a big question. What this is not, like I said, is an e-ink phone. There is no SIM card. So even though it looks like a phone, and actually it really feels like a nice phone if it were a phone, it cannot make phone calls like that. Maybe you could do voice over IP. Maybe if you load the right messaging software or apps on here, you can do some VoIP calls and stuff like that. Obviously, I have not tested that out yet, but it's not going to be your standard phone. It's probably not going to be any good for watching movies or really videos. I mean, the e-ink technology is such a slow refresh rate that watching videos that have high refresh rate, it's just going to be, I'm guessing, pretty unbearable. And really just by extension, anything that's visually rich, things like social media like Instagram, that sort of stuff, it's going to be a limiting experience using the Onyx Boox Palma. So overall, right out of the box, I got to say I'm pretty impressed by the form factor. It feels like a nice, solid, sturdy device. We'll go ahead and see if we can move beyond this screen. If I hold down the power button, pretty standard Android boot sequence here. Has some auto sleep functionality so that you don't burn through battery when you're not using it. Does have system-wide gestures. Now we're booted into the Android operating system. It's a home screen for sure, and you can see the Play Store down at the bottom. I'm not logged into my account yet, which is interesting. I'm used to, when I set up a new Android device, being asked to enter in my Google account right from the jump so that everything can be synced accordingly. That did not happen here. In fact, it makes me wonder when I hit the Play Store, it's giving me a little tutorial on how to optimize the apps for the device. We'll go ahead and skip that for now. See a little bit of screen glitchiness. I mean, that's just e-ink in general. And this is kind of what I expected. If you want to install any apps, you got to sign in with your Google account. And I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. All right, so you can see we're in the Play Store. It's definitely a different kind of Play Store. The way it's laid out, I'm not used to seeing these really large icons. If we go to the top charts, this is a little bit more of what I'm used to seeing. But I'm curious to know if this is tailored to this particular type of device somehow. Is there something in the Android code that says, this is an e-ink display, so maybe it makes more sense to offer up larger icons? Total guess. I don't actually know if that's true. I'm just not used to seeing this type of layout. Let's go ahead and download Libby. Hopefully I can log in. Sometimes I have a hard time logging into Libby. I can't remember my library pin code. Libby is a really great app. It ties into your library credentials and can connect to your local library to give you access to digital book checkouts. All right, here we are in Libby. I can actually scan through with Libby and it's synced to my library account. So basically I can check out and I don't have to buy the book or anything. It's just part of my subscription. I could even do magazines, as you can see. All right, so cinema speculation, Quentin Tarantino. Sure, we'll go ahead and borrow that. And as you can see in Libby, I could get the audiobook or I could get the book, but let's borrow the book just so we can see it. We'll jump to Taxi Driver. And there we go. The screen is really sharp. I haven't made any adjustments to color temperature or brightness. Things seem, reasonably responsive when I'm flipping through a book here. I would love to read a book like this and have it be a little bit easier on the eyes. Very nice. And then we can swipe up to go back to the main screen. Oh, there's already a music app embedded in here. Of course, I don't have any music stored on the device. There is no headphone jack here, but we do have the USB-C port down at the bottom, so if you've got the right adapter, you can send audio out of that USB-C port and listen to music on the device. Some of the swiping doesn't always catch perfectly. Dock scan, new scan. And there we go, there's the camera pass-through. You can see my desk and my hand down below. Black and white, of course. Pretty low refresh as I'm bouncing around. You can kind of see it flicker in a little bit, but neat nonetheless that you could actually do this. All right, so the Boox Palma definitely delivers on its promise of bringing true e-ink flexibility and functionality to the smartphone form factor. However, it is not a true smartphone, meaning it's really more of a secondary device than it would be a replacement for what you already carry with you daily. But when you come to think about it, that's really nothing new for e-readers like this. Well, what do you think? Drop a comment down below, let me know, and I might include it on the upcoming review. Oh, and maybe even hit that subscribe button while you're down there too. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.